Welcome to Who Knew. We are fans of the current series of Doctor Who, and here we discuss our likes, dislikes, and insights into the modern regeneration of the show. Subscribe, review, and listen to us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, or our YouTube channel, youtube.com/WhoKnewPodcast. All our episodes are on WhoKnewPodcast.com. You can leave comments there or email us at WhoKnewPodcast@gmail.com. We also have an Instagram and Twitter account. Tweet at us at WhoKnewPodcast. Find us on Facebook. Today's episode is episode 12 of season 9, Hell Bent. The Doctor is in a dangerous path in order to rescue Clara, and the universe better not get in his way. This episode is written by Stephen Moffat, directed by Rachel Talalay. It originally aired on the 5th of December 2015 and was watched by 6.17 million viewers. Hi, this is Eugene. Let's introduce ourselves.
Hello, this is Frank.
Hi, this is Brian.
Howdy, this is Auburn.
The Doctor enters a diner where Clara is the waitress, but for some reason, the Doctor doesn't recognize her, and she seems to not recognize him. He mentions the name Clara, and Clara asks for him to tell her about her. On Gallifrey, the Doctor spends some time in the desolate barn. In the Citadel, the High Council is worried. Rassilon, the president, sends military forces to bring him in. The Doctor ignores every attempt until Rassilon himself comes to get him. Rassilon admits they put the Doctor in the confession dial because they needed to know about the hybrid. The Doctor simply responds, "Get off my planet." Rassilon's forces stand with the Doctor, and Rassilon is exiled. In the diner, Clara asks if this really happened, and the Doctor responds that all stories are real in the end.
Okay, the cold open. I don't like a lot of those that you come back and it's, 2 days earlier or something like that. We're kind of coming in. But this one, where they're able to go back to Clara, it's like, okay, so he's telling this story. So that was okay for me because it wasn't just, oh, we're just trying to bait you and then do it. They added that extra layer of, no, he's telling this story and we're going along the story along with Clara's character. So we were still part of it. So I liked it. I thought the cold open was pretty good. It grabbed my attention. It's like, where did this come from? Especially from the last episode, just totally switching planets and everything, going, what's happening? So I was a little upset at the beginning that it's going to be a flashback, 2 days ago, 20 hours ago, whatever. So I was happily surprised. And then since it was a story, it worked for me.
I will agree that it's not that trope that you talk about with 2 days earlier. There's like a hook that gets you, and then you're like, how did we get to this hook? I guess it lends itself to the time travel nature of Doctor Who, and I think that's why I'm okay with it as well. And did anybody notice the song playing as the Doctor enters the diner?
I did.
Yes,
I did.
We heard it previously on the Mummy on the Orient Express. It was Fox's cover of "Don't Stop Me Now," and I thought that was nice.
Agreed.
Yeah, it was a fun little bit.
And that is one thing about this episode. They're throwing a lot of little Easter eggs or references or things to things in the past that are not at all blatant, really. So there's a lot of them going, this looks familiar. I have no idea what it was about. Since the whole season was just a little bit different than other seasons. So it wasn't really put a lot of emphasis in the original episode. And so to bring it back, it's like you really have to be deep into it, a diehard, to pick up on a lot of them.
Yeah, and I originally hated this episode when I watched it, when it first broadcast, and watching it several times this week, it really depended on what mood I was in. I was into it, I was emotionally there, and then other times I'm like, why are we getting answers to questions I never asked? So I'm going to try to be fair again in my compliment sandwich going through this episode.
I think it's definitely a surprise. Well, not a surprise, but it's, Clara is saying a long goodbye still, and just when we thought we were, or at least when I thought we were through with her, we got her coming back again. But yeah, I think, this is it, right? Like I've watched ahead, and I think this is it for now.
Because it feels like we are done watching a movie with our friends, and then we exit the movie theater and we say our goodbyes, but then we're all walking to the same parking structure. That's what this felt like, and I'm like, we already said goodbye to you. Why are we here again?
Mm-hmm.
And for me, though, it's like watching this episode, you would think I'd be like, oh, Clara, just go away. Just go away. Please, just go away. that's not the reaction I get from this. It's like she's the smart one. She's the one who's like, I don't want this, put me back, kind of a thing.
Or, yeah, grounded.
Yeah, she's grounded. She's just like, no, I was ready for this. It's nobody's fault but me, and just let it happen. And it's the doctor who's like the annoying one.
Especially on a second watch, like after you remember or realize what the conceit of Clara and the doctor in the restaurant is. Like she is back in that role, like you guys have always said, of being the doctor. Like she is the one who has the memory and is playing, not dumb, but playing the part of the person that the other person doesn't know anymore. You know what I mean? Like
right.
she's undercover.
Yeah.
She has more knowledge in the situation than the actual doctor does.
Which on rewatching bugs me more because when they're talking in the diner, at least for me, it was so completely obvious for me that the doctor was the one who lost his memory and Clara was the one who had her memory, but she was acting like she didn't know him. So that kind of like robbed a lot of tension later on in the episode where it's like, oh, we've got this 50-50 chance. And I watched that going, well, yeah, but we already know how that turns out. So
It was, but I think I'm trying to remember the first time I watched it again with Eugene. I did not like this episode when I first watched it, and I thought the title should have been too big for his britches. Because everything about this was like, okay, you're going way too far for Moffat and everybody. It was just like the writing. It's like, this is way too big for this one episode. But as I kept watching it, and you kind of get that Clara seems to know more. But then when she says, tell me about her, it seemed genuine, and his reaction seemed genuine, like, how do you not know? Or, it's like that little reaction between those two sold it for me. That, wait a minute, maybe they're pulling something on us. Maybe there is, it's one of them, but we don't know who, or did they both not get their memory wiped? Did both of them do it? Are they trying to find out what the other one knows? I mean, just had their reactions just opened it up so much, which was great.
One of the times that I enjoyed watching this episode, the line when she's talking to the doctor and he doesn't know who she is. Like, are you from England? You're English, you're not here. Are you from Glasgow? And then he goes, have you been traveling? And he goes, yeah, from time to time. I was like, that's a good line.
Brian had the same thing, huh?
Yeah.
God, I love that. It's a very Moffat two meanings
Yes.
thing. I love that because I didn't catch it the first time, and then the second time I was like, and the funny thing is that I caught the Doctor Who I'm going from time to time, that my brain immediately thought that. It was on the second watching that I'm like, oh wait, that's an expression from time to time, every once in a while. And it was only on the second one that I got the normal reference. I watch too much Doctor Who.
It's weird because like that scene in the beginning, if I'm in the right mood, I'm there for all of it. Like they're saying goodbyes, and it's touching and it's well written, but I hate the ending.
Yeah.
There's this, for me, this episode suffers from, there's too much going on and a bunch of it can be cut out for no reason. So there's a lot going on, but then nothing happens. It's like, it's not satisfying. It's like cut out. I'm sorry, I don't even know what I'm saying. To me, this episode is all exposition. It's literally one scene of Clara's asking what's going on, the Doctor explaining. Clara asks what's going on, the Doctor explaining. Everywhere. Let me explain the cloisters to you. Let me explain the extraction room to you. And then before that, it's like, I love Ohila, the Sisterhood of Karn leader. I love that actress. I love the character. I love her little witticisms. There is no reason for her to be in this episode except to be a foil to Rassilon, to counterbalance him, to be the person who can stand up and say you're stupid, and then to be the person who can kind of do the same thing with the Doctor. If you took her out, you could still make all that work. There's just no, she's there for expositions. She's not there for plot. She doesn't do anything. It's like, and he even says, what are you doing here? And she's like, one so likes fireworks. That's a funny line, and it's delivered well. And I love every scene that she is in. Don't get me wrong. She's great. Serves no purpose. But to give the episode a little life.
Which is also there as a reference to a previous episode in this season.
Yeah.
So it's like, they're bringing back all the things that they thought they had planted well and bringing it all back. And also, I think it does work with the character going, I'm going to be there, so
No, it does.
they
But
did it well. And I understand what you're saying. And they could have done the exposition some other way.
But they dropped it because she was in the beginning with Magician's Apprentice and Witch's Familiar and the prologue to this season. And then we didn't see her until now. So it just felt odd that it was the seeds were planted and then it was just dropped. And then we came back to this fully watered plant at the end.
Yeah.
By the end, she was angry at the doctor for running away again. Do you know why? I might have missed it. Because it seemed just more out of character. Like, she was there to watch the fireworks, and then at like the climax of the fireworks, she's upset that he's running away. I might have missed it. It might be obvious, but do you guys have a sense for that?
For me, it was she wants to watch the fireworks between the doctor and Rassilon. And so that didn't really happen. And now he's just going off the deep end. And her line was, boy, implies that she was there his whole life. She knew him when he was a kid, original doctor. So much more motherly, going, no, I wanted to see you blow up at him. I wanted to see all that fighting that you guys could do. And no, you just banished him. You left it, and now you're just going too far. So that's where I got it from her point of view.
I took it a little differently. Doctor, you're being a coward, is what she's saying. She's saying, you're running away again. You're being cowardly.
And cruel.
Because she even says it. She even says it. Yeah, and that he's lost it. He's cruel. Because she does say that to him earlier on in the cloisters. Are you being cowardly or are you being cruel? And I think that's her way. She's angry because he's being cowardly and cruel. Okay. And that really ticks her off. In one way, because she doesn't get to witness the fireworks, but also because the doctor's choosing not to have fireworks and he needs to have fireworks at this point.
The last time we saw Rassilon was all the way in the end of season 4 with The End of Time, and he was played by Timothy Dalton. So I don't know if they couldn't get him back or what, but this guy does a good job.
Does this Rassilon actor have any other history with Doctor Who? I know we'll probably talk about it later.
Yes, he does.
But he wasn't like the original Rassilon or something.
No.
They'd be pretty old, huh?
Yeah. Let me find it. So Rassilon is played by Donald Sumter. He was Maester Lewin in Game of Thrones seasons 1 and 2. He was Julian Hereford in the Black Mirror episode The National Anthem. He was Erasmus Darkening in the Sarah Jane Adventures, The Eternity Trap Part 1 and 2. And in Classic Who, he was Commander Ridgway in The Sea Devils with John Pertwee, the Third Doctor, and Enrico Casal in The Wheel in Space with Patrick Troughton, the Second Doctor. And that's a Cyberman story where the John Pertwee one, you can tell it was The Sea Devils because it's called The Sea Devils. So that's cool that they got somebody that has Classic Who ties. I like that.
I was actually surprised he was Rassilon, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's one of those things that you were mentioning earlier where these are a lot of Easter eggs. Like, if this is your first time watching, you're like, oh, it's just the name of the president. Where if you're a fan, you're like, oh, that Rassilon.
Yeah. And then he just flies out of the story.
Yeah, like you said earlier, it's just serving, I guess, exposition. Like, I'm Rassilon, but I'm not important to the plot, or I'm here just to foil the Doctor.
Yeah. I'm here as a foil, and the writers using the name Rassilon so that they could bring this additional weight to people who know, rather than needing to explain it. And then at the same time, they do explain it. It's like too much exposition.
But the characterization to me was really off. It didn't feel like Rassilon.
Totally.
That way. I mean, he's a fine actor, just that in this role, or what they told him, or how they presented it, or it just wasn't what we are used to, with some of the arrogance of Rassilon and some of the determination of what he's always right. He just seemed a little bit weaker and
too freaked out.
A child throwing a tantrum, rather than somebody who would just kill you and get rid of it for his own ambition.
He definitely had, he had a little thing with the glove at the end, but certainly all the other displays of his power were having other people do stuff. And I don't know if that's from the original that was like that, but the glowy glove seemed like it could have been more fun.
Well, yeah, that gauntlet. I'm like, oh, there's another Easter egg. We saw Timothy Dalton use that. I'm like, did we need that?
I thought it was funny because it's a new gauntlet, and I'm 99% sure that they just took Davros's glove and repainted it. And it looked pretty good. It looked better than Timothy Dalton's thing.
Yeah, his looked too large for his hand. This
Yeah.
one would fit better.
Yeah. But it just I wasn't.
We're all there
Yeah.
with you. We're just explaining it in different examples.
And
Can-
why were the
can-
Gallifreyans dressed like they're in the 1920s Depression in the Dust Bowl?
That's another. I'm like, why
John
are you?
Ford movie. Why are they dressed like a John Ford movie?
See, I don't get that. I've never. Okay, so from classic Who and what we've seen of Gallifrey from the modern Who, I've never seen any like caste system. To me, it seemed like there were high noble Gallifrey, highborn Gallifreyans, and then there were these lower class Gallifreyans that weren't Time Lords. I mean, like you're doing this to show that this is sort of a Western and a sort of Clint Eastwood man standing like man with no name,
Draw the
sort of
line.
traveler, just standing up to the oppression that these
High noon or something like that.
yeah, I don't want to say simple, but like that's the first thing that comes to my mind. Simple town folk can't stand up for themselves. That's why he draws the line in the sand with his boot. And I keep thinking to myself, why? I get why you chose this. You're probably a fan of the genre and a movie, a specific movie. But at the same time, I've never seen Gallifrey done like this, or I've never seen a Confession Dial mentioned before. I've never seen
Right.
a Matrix, or the Matrix was mentioned, but
Yeah,
anyway,
yeah, we knew
we'll
the
get to that.
Matrix.
So
Yeah.
it's funny. Anyway, go ahead, Albert.
Oh, I like the first part on Gallifrey, but yeah, I wish we would have spent more time there. Like I would have been interested to see like this village that, like you said, is like more simple folk, just to make that feel a little more weight and stakes. Like all we see is this desolate barn. I like the way that you put it, in the middle of nowhere with nothing. The woman shows up who was she like the doctor's caretaker when he was a boy? Like that's from
Yes, so
Kinda- yeah.
remember the episode Listen?
yeah.
So when the doctor as a child before he became a Time Lord was crying in the barn, that's that
Mhm.
barn.
Yeah.
And then the woman and the man are like kind of talking about, oh, why is he crying? He doesn't get along with the other kids. That's that woman as I'm taking it, because
Okay.
she recognizes him even though he has a different face.
And
But-
one of the greatest things of the episode, sorry to interrupt, but the music. They're using the original Christopher Eccleston theme in that moment on different instruments rather than a voice.
And it's also done in Ennio Morricone spaghetti western style to fit the aesthetic of what
Yes.
they're going for.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is
So
nice.
awesome.
It's nice, but in the overall context, it makes me scratch my head of why.
Just that mystery. The doctor's different. The doctor changes and she recognizes him. That's how I took it. But I didn't mean to interrupt what you were saying, because what you were saying was good. I just,
No, yeah. I mean,
when she
yeah.
sees him and she knows who he is, and also when she's like, they'll kill you. It's like, what specifically right now in this moment? Oh, never mind. Just answer my own question. Because Rassilon knows that they put him in the confession dial and he just got out, and the doctor's going to be pissed. Okay, that's why Rassilon's freaking out. Okay.
I also would have liked, the doctor is a war hero in this story, and we hear that from the soldiers. But, part of me was thinking this barn should have been like a museum to
Right.
like the birthplace of the doctor. Like, it could have been cheesy and an opportunity to see like all the old doctors, and I'm sure he would have had fun like looking at a few exhibits and being like,
Well,
oh, that's not the way it happened. But
that would have made it better for me, because it would have been like Dollywood, where they preserve Dolly Parton's cabin, and then they like preserved it, and all these people are kind of workers cosplaying in the time period of the Time War, so that's why everybody looks like downtrodden and less sophisticated. So
yeah, that would have been
that
funny to
kind of makes
see
sense.
like the simple villagers and then give like this off the wall explanation for why they're like that. Yeah.
But what I don't get is how long has it been since the Time War, since they were able to escape the bubble and everything? Because during the Time War, Gallifreyans with different clothes were running
Yeah.
around trying not to die, and everything was cool. a lot of different buildings and all this. And every time we see, like in the 50th, and now the barn is all isolated. So where's the main house? And where did all these people come from? There is nothing anywhere in those huge shots where the spaceship was that they could come from within an hour or two.
See, and that's where I think that's Lison's fault. They blew it with Listen.
But the barn is bigger on the inside, Frank.
No. I don't got that one. I don't buy, because we see the inside of the barn plenty of times here and in the 50th, and there's no second, third, fourth floor. There's no
Hey,
space.
the TARDIS has a wardrobe that we've only kind of seen.
Wow.
It also has a swimming pool, which we've only kind of seen.
And I guess it's got to be made out of something stronger than wood, since all their blasters, all they did was kind of darken it a little scorch. And
Well,
those things
is
supposed to attack
mahogany.
Daleks. That is Dalek killing kind of weaponry, and you just scorch wood. I guess it doesn't work on wood, kind of like the Sonic.
Well, I was going to say, those weapons are based off of a design from an older Sonic that didn't work out, so that's why that works.
There, we figured it out. Okay.
Or the original Green Lantern's ring.
Right.
See, because what I love it about the barn in the 50th is the Doctor knows where the barn is. That's great. I don't have a problem with that. But he specifically chooses it because it is so far away from everything.
Mm-hmm.
Not just the TARDIS, but everything. He can do what he needs to do, and he's not surrounded by anybody. And then in Listen, they made this it's the barn used by the orphanage or whatever it is, the academy or what. And it's just like, that doesn't make any sense. And then it really doesn't make any sense in this episode.
Too many questions.
They were totally just like, they were doing like what you said. Hey, this is a Clint Eastwood movie. It's, we've got the lone hero helping out the
town, yeah,
destitute people, and we got to make them look dusty. And,
I got from the group that they recognized him too, that he was the savior from the Time War. So that's why they're all just like in awe of like, okay, so thank you stopped it.
Yeah.
Thing.
I mean, you would, because he saved all of them, so I get that. But at the same time, we haven't seen anything other than the 50th, because I know that there are Big Finish audio stories about the War Doctor and the time that the War Doctor did to
right,
just John Hurt's War Doctor doing all his adventures and things. But as a strictly TV show viewer, we just have the one thing with the 50th, the Day of the Doctor.
But it's the simple fact that it's like, you're just doing this for that effect. You're not doing it for the plot. You're doing it because this is a cool moment. It's going to look so cool.
But one thing another small little thing that they added was when he was told to put down his weapons and come out, so he dropped a spoon.
I know.
And so that was back to Robot Assurance, So that was, again, if you more of a diehard, you'd like, that was funny. That was a good little bit. And it didn't distract from anything if you didn't know that, if you didn't watch that episode.
Yeah, I agree.
So it worked. And this time when I was watching it, the cloister bells got me, where the whole city is having the cloister bells, the whole domed place, where it's like, we know from the regular TARDIS that the cloister bells things are really bad. And so they happen when the Doctor showed up. So that is going, okay, that's why Rassilon's also there going, okay, this is bad. He's going to be bad.
They do also play the Ninth Doctor theme again in this scene with the military guys. I noticed it on this last go round, but this time they're playing it on a whistle.
Yeah, took it as the good, the bad, and the ugly, where it's like whistling and like incoherent choir, just like vocals instead of lyrics. And speaking of pieces of music, the guitar version of Clara's theme in the diners, I really like that. I think it's just called Clara, because
Sorry, one more, and one line that I did like in the end of this is, the Doctor uses words as a weapon, and he goes, well, when did we stop using them as that? So kind of thing.
Yeah,
I thought that was a
General
great
says
line.
that.
I thought that was a great line.
Yeah, why don't we use words as a weapon from the General? Love it. I also like the General too. I think that's a really good actor. Really glad they brought him back from the 50th.
let me double check. Is he the same guy?
Yes,
I'm double checking.
same guy, right, Eugene?
Yeah, same guy from the Day of the Doctor. I was thinking, no, is it Time of the Doctor?
He's from Day of the Doctor.
Day of the Doctor.
He's
Yeah.
the general that tells the Doctor, go ahead and do it. Go
Yeah.
ahead and freeze Gallifrey.
Yeah, Day of the Doctor.
The ship designs were really cool. I like the higher tech, versus the low tech people and even the doctor's strategy. And they were, I think they were sufficiently beefy. Like they felt like they
Mhm.
would tear up some innocent people.
I'd never thought that they would look like that though, because the Daleks are classic like space saucers with orbs and spheres around the saucer section. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what I would thought, but I just didn't think that for the Time Lords.
Right.
Yeah, it certainly seems like like you said, to fit into this Western kind of motif of what they were trying to do with the Time Lords and the Gallifreyans. Like, because most of the rest of their structures are like spherical and have like the clock worked into it. And these things were just kind of almost like the Defiant from Star Trek.
Yeah.
Like that kind
Mhm.
of just like beefy. Yeah. I mean, I could see it all the way back to like Aliens 2, that carrier, like with
Mm.
the more helicopter looking cockpit. And yeah, it's just kind of a simple design, I guess, to make it easy. But even like the Gatling guns, I think, make it feel threatening in a way that
Yeah,
the different way than the Doctor is threatening.
absolutely.
The Doctor tells the General and Ohila, leader of the Sisterhood of Karn, that he'll stop the hybrid, but first he needs an extraction chamber. Using it, he returns to the moment before Clara's death and pulls her out of the time stream. She's now frozen between one heartbeat and the next. The Doctor grabs the General's gun and shoots, forcing him to regenerate. The Doctor and Clara run to the cloisters, which Ohila calls the Hell of the Time Lords. The Doctor admits he doesn't know what the hybrid is. He only used it to get her back. Clara distracts everyone while the Doctor opens the secret door, finds a TARDIS, and retrieves Clara.
So a lot here. This is the first time we've heard of the extraction chamber. We've never heard of it before. And when the Doctor comes out of, I guess, some sort of TARDIS-y chamber and gets Clara from Face the Raven and extends his hand, I wanted him to say, "Come with me if you want to live."
Yeah. I wanted that too.
Have our Terminator reference.
Yeah.
I'm glad they did not, but I get it. And
I mean, they're doing motifs to every other genre in this episode. I like, first off, with the extraction room, it's kind of a cool idea because the Gallifreyans, the Time Lords, would totally have that. So it does make sense that it does exist. But more importantly, I love how angry Clara is with the Doctor. I love that. It's like, we all want Clara to go away, and why couldn't she have just stayed dead? But if she had to come back, she came back well. I like Clara in this episode where she's like, I didn't want this. I was prepared. I was good to go. What are you doing?
It reminds me of what we said about Osgood, where Osgood is the surrogate for the fan base. And then now Clara is thinking what I'm thinking watching this episode, like, why did you bring me back?
Yeah. Yeah. Why didn't you just let me die like I had prepared to? And, she accepted it. Ohila said earlier on, it's like, it's not, Doctor, it's not your fault. It's not the Gallifreyans' fault. She chose it. This is the result of her actions and her consequences, and she's come to terms with it. And then he, I don't want to say robs her of it, but
He kind of does.
yeah, he certainly robs it for the viewer because, it was a nice death. Stay dead. It meant something.
Something just occurred to me when you guys were talking about taking the person's soul essence in that one beat between the hearts kind of thing. Isn't that what Missy did? Similar, but didn't time lock the body?
What body?
When she uploaded everybody to the
Into the
nether sphere.
nether sphere, yeah.
What do they call it?
And turned them into Cybermen. I mean, yes, she did rob people of their deaths.
It's like, to me, that kind of like ties together going, okay, that is Time Lord technology, so it kind of retroactively makes it feel better of how Missy was able to do that. Does that make sense? It just hit me now the way you guys were talking about it.
And even Ohelia mentions that Missy was the one that kind of set things in motion. Oh wait, is it Missy or Clara?
Yeah, it was Missy.
No, but who mentions it first? Was it Ohelia or Clara when she says? Anyway, somebody mentions it.
It was me. That's what it was. It was me.
Oh, that's
and Clara responds from inside the TARDIS because she's listening, and the Doctor says Missy to me.
That's it.
Clara says Missy to the monitor. Right. That's right.
And the Matrix, which we've heard before from the Deadly Assassin, which is an episode we've covered, I kind of like the explanation of why, in my sort of like fan fiction canon head story, whatever, they take all of the Time Lords that are at the moment of their death and then they kind of upload the consciousness and all the memories and things into this matrix so that you can have that power to sort of know everything that has happened within that one individual who has lived like billions, if not trillions of years. So then you can have that moment where the doctor knows these events are time locked. That's how the kind of retroactively making that work, where all the people that are deemed worthy to become Time Lords kind of dip into that thing, that collective consciousness, so they all can know these certain points and know when these certain points happen. Because they collectively have experienced it.
Oh, that's an interesting headcanon. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it too. The only thing I don't like is no Time Lord lives a billion years. That's just not
Yeah, not
what the
that
Time
long.
Lords do.
Moffat has this obsession with making the Doctor super old.
Yeah, he really wants to throw out the how old's the Doctor?
Kind of gets me is that confession dial to me is like a pocket universe where that time that elapses in the confession dial is not real time outside of the confession dial.
Right.
So mentally the
Yeah.
Doctor is much older, but physically he's not that old.
But
But
even
is he mentally older because his memory goes away when he resets?
See, that's the part that's, again, very weird. Like, which one is it? You want to make us think that he's this old? Because we did that with Matt Smith's, or the 11th Doctor's end, when he got kind of the receding hairline and super old, and he was looking like the first Doctor. But
Yeah, it was
then,
hundreds of years.
But then with the 12th Doctor, Capaldi, we don't get that.
I will die on that hill. He is not 4.5 billion years old. That to me is just stupid.
Back to like the Matrix and the prophecies, I did like the idea of those combined Time Lord intellects allowing it to generate those like prophecies about the future. And I liked the dialogue between, was it the general and the doctor about like what the prophecies say, like where he's like, some prophecies say no, all
No.
prophecies, yeah. But it's interesting because they are at the end of the universe in this episode. At least Gallifrey is parked there, and so there's not much more future to tell. And one of the lines was like, we need the Matrix to keep telling the future, but like they're at the end, so like they could just look back, like they got it all behind them. But yeah, no, I really enjoyed those lines. But again, I don't think they earned the spot, like, because the hybrid has been kind of a dud this season. And even like the explanation that they give at the end, it's no bad wolf for sure.
No. I mean, truer words were never said that the hybrid is a dud. and you bringing up the Matrix, this is like a pop culture nerd thing, but it reminded me of the Transformers, the movie from 1986, how the Autobots had a leadership matrix, which is sort of the same thing that's going on here, where it's the collective knowledge of the leaders that hold the matrix that allow them to kind of combat the evil. So it's a weird concept that I think everybody uses the matrix as a deus ex machina type of thing.
They need Kirk to show up and logic it to death.
A lot of the writing for the dialogue was great. With Sister Karn, this is no time to play the fool. It's the end of the world. It's the only time I have. And the whole part where the general's saying, you won't shoot me. It's like, no, I don't know that. And so those little things, I mean, a lot of it that we're going through this whole bit later on when Clara and the doctor are talking, they have some great dialogue that just is fun, gives you a little bit of a laugh and not a knee slapper, so you can still stay in the story. But it's just that little bit of banter that just is like the pearl in this.
Yeah, well, even the general, when the doctor gets the general's gun and is going to shoot the general, way back when, in like I guess the Deadly Assassin, they're using stasers, which have a stun setting, And I like this little world building thing that the general says, I am the personal guard to the president. That does not have a stun setting. I was like, that's kind of cool.
Yeah. And also asking what generation, just by that. What regeneration? I'm on the 10th. It's like,
which don't watch the subtitles because they say the wrong word. And they write out the word death. So instead of him saying 10th, the subtitles say death. And it's like, what the hell? So just shoots him when he says, I'm going to die. And in my brain, I'm thinking, rationalize it. Okay, this is his last regeneration. So I'm going to regenerate into the one that dies.
It's like,
and then when I came home, it was like, that's wrong.
Yeah, that's not right. I was so happy you figured that out.
It's like Pac-Man when it says you have 0 lives left, you're on your last life.
Yeah. And then the technicians in that extraction room, they reminded me of the Buck Rogers uniforms.
Yeah.
Because of the way that the V on the helmet and stark white.
One thing that kind of confused me was what makes the Time Lord. Because I thought they were the highbrow. They had to look into the Eye of Harmony or whatever that was at the school when they were younger. So the general is a Time Lord, which I thought that may not be that level, but I guess he is that level. So are the military Time Lords, or are they Gallifreyans? Or is it everybody in the Citadel who are the Time Lords and everybody outside are the Gallifreyans? Since we didn't really know before and they didn't really spend time on it, we just dealt with the High Council and other things in the classic. It never really mattered, but now that they're differentiating, putting more emphasis on it, I wish they would have. We need to have a world building conversation about what the actual thing is. Some are Time Lords, some aren't. It just seemed very confusing as to who they would have as that.
Yeah, that whole thing bugs me.
So your typical Gallifreyan would not regenerate. Like, it's only the Time Lords.
I mean,
from what they had
From what we
said
know.
on the series, yes.
Did they?
I mean,
From
that
what-
makes sense if you're going to have two classes, which is the Time Lords and then the common
then-
folk.
That is so completely two different species.
They all have 2 hearts, right? Like both of
Yeah.
them would. Yeah.
They should. Because I rationalize it that the Doctor, before he went to the Academy and looked into the untempered schism, was not a Time Lord. He was Gallifreyan, but not Time Lord. So that's how I kind of rationalize the Depression folks in the barn. They
Right.
haven't become Time Lord. They are Gallifreyan because they live on Gallifrey. So I don't know.
We've
But
had
the other thing-
episodes where he's a human, right? Like, or at least
Mhm.
thinks he's a human. But have we ever had any where like the Time Lords strip him of power? I'm thinking like the Q, there was that episode in Star
Yeah,
Trek where
yeah.
they made Q not Q. Nothing.
Yeah, I don't think they have.
They just
No, they only took his
banished him to
TARDIS away.
Earth so he couldn't travel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but he still retained all the Gallifreyan aspects, but just
Yeah. I Gallifreyed it. I Googled it really quick. There's different things. Time Lords are a race of human-like beings from the planet Gallifrey, while Gallifreyans are inhabitants of that planet. The Time Lords are human-like beings with some notable differences, such as regeneration and having 2 hearts. Every Gallifreyan has 2 hearts. I'm sorry. The majority of Time Lords were genetically Gallifreyans. So it's like, this almost hints that you can be a Time Lord and not be from Gallifrey. No. And Time Lord is the title the Gallifreyans earned over time because they go to school, academy, university, college, and eventually their title is Time Lord.
I kind of like that last one because it feels
I
like
kind of do too.
it's like you earn the Time Lord title.
Yeah. But the Time Lords have more. It's kind of like it's the class that can actually deal with time travel. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's going to be my headcanon.
And I think this might be the first time we see a male Time Lord regenerate into a female on screen.
Actually, literally on screen.
On screen.
Yes.
Yeah. And I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
And the little comment about, finally back in my normal form, because that guy was just too egotistical or whatever
Like,
she said.
yeah, like how do you deal with the ego?
Yeah.
And it also says, like, somehow she says all my previous regenerations were women, except this last one. So it is kind of like, oh, that's kind of cool. I mean, that kind of explains why the Doctor, it's like, it's not a 50-50 chance. It seems like this just kind of like a predilection towards one. And every once in a while, the other one pops in. I don't know.
Yeah, because it makes sense every
Yeah.
time this modern doctor regenerates, they wonder what their attributes are physically because it's a gamble when the
Right.
regeneration happens.
There is one line here when Clara's angry at the doctor and she's like, "Why did you do this? Why did you do this? Why did you do this?" And he just turns and kind of matter of factly says, "I had a duty of care." And it's like that's a doctor's motto, mantra.
Yeah.
Doctors have a duty of care. So it's like, is that another Moffatism? Where it's like, not only is
Well,
it
I'm just thinking,
no,
sorry to me to cut you off, but I just watched Dalek again, and Rose was trapped below, and the doctor freaked out, going, I promised to keep her safe. I'm supposed to take care of her. The whole idea that it's the same.
and
What you're saying there about Clara,
that's the one first meaning of what he said. What you just said is his first meaning. My second Moffatism meaning is duty of care is literally what doctors say they have. Literally, those three words. What did you just think, Frank?
the doctor telling why he's traveling with Clara in the Inside the Dalek episode. She's my carer. So she can care and I don't have to. When he's talking about
Okay.
So it's just like duty of care. You have to be there. I never even thought of that until the way you said it just brought back that scene. No, she's the carer, so I don't have to care. It's like, no, I need the other half of me. I need the person who would care for me.
Well, the doctor previously mentioned duty of care in this season in Under the Lake, so it's a thing that's happened before or been said before.
Just my little thing. Oh, and also exterminate me.
Oh,
Ooh, that was chilling.
That's tough.
yeah, that was very dark. The whole.
Also, after watching Dalek, that was bringing back that. Maybe that's why I watched Dalek, now that I think about it. But because that Dalek wanted to die. It needed an order to commit suicide, And so it was just reminding me of, no, it's still cruel to torture, no matter what they did or who they are. The torture part's demeaning and dehumanizing.
Oh, so we're talking about the cloister. What's it called? The cloisters underneath,
Posters, yeah.
yeah, underneath the capital city, where you have like the hell of the
Mhm.
Time Lords.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have these things called sliders that are like sentries that are patrolling, where they have a sort of holographic interface between the face and the torso. It reminded me of this old 80s toy called Supernaturals, where the holograms were the face and the body, and it was just a very like niche toy line. But then I
Hmm.
took it as sliders being the things that the Time Lords fear because the Eighth Doctor with the TV movie, there was a pilot, a backdoor pilot with the TV movie supposed to be greenlit to series, but Universal at the time decided to go with a different sci-fi show called Sliders. So I don't know if that is a literal sort of dig at Sliders.
Hmm.
No, they
That's
just like
funny.
the look of
Hover,
colony Sark.
hovering
Yeah. So they're like, look
entities.
at how good that look is. And so they just did it with them.
Heelys were big back then, right?
Actually, they were little wheels on the bottom of your feet.
Yeah.
But during that whole scene, they had some good lines. Race attack only if you try to leave, so we're safe, or if you decide to stay. That
Mhm.
didn't go good for you, did it? You realize, that little banter they had, and him trying to explain things and then dumbing it down to the basic. Okay, a lot of dead Time Lords are down here, being protected by a lot of other dead Time Lords. And just Clara, that didn't hurt at all, did it? Well, just a little bit. Really quick, but that was them, and I'm really glad that was put in to the show because I thought that was helped me like it more than I did the first time through.
Yeah. And I
By the
had
way, we haven't
forgot
talked about the gun.
which gun.
The gun he kills a person with.
But
We
the
did.
doctor doesn't use the gun.
We did talk about that.
Did we?
Yeah.
I brought it up.
But I mean, did we discuss the fact that how the hell does the doctor shoot and kill somebody? Did we talk
No.
about the morality of it? That's
That
what I
part.
mean.
That part we did not.
Because that pisses me off.
And I
That
think
they have
it's
the
to show
doctor
how far.
shoot.
I think that's to show just how far the doctor is going. Where
And
it's
I
not your
think that's
last
too
one. Exactly. And I think that's what it's supposed to be showing. Going, but in other showrunners, it would have been focused on more. Definitely.
'cause
Even
my-
back with Matt as the doctor, I think it would have been focused on a lot more. Amy would have said a lot more against that because she did in the Western
A
episode.
town called Mercy.
Right. It's like you're using she's like that's not you, and she would berate him. Clara was trying to talk him down, knowing that he is very far gone. and trying to figure. And she just got thrown into this, so she's trying to figure out what's going on.
I just know that the example of the Doctor going too far was done better in David Tennant, with David Tennant, the 10th Doctor, with the Rachnos and Waters of Mars, where here it feels so sudden. Like they're telling us the Doctor is going too far instead of showing us the Doctor's gone too far.
Right.
I hate it. You know,
it doesn't feel earned.
No, it doesn't.
Or logical.
It's too casual. It's way too casual.
Which I think I was telling Brian about that, going, you don't have to go over the top, but I didn't see that underlying fire consistently with the Doctor. It's like, I didn't see his solitary focus on getting this done. I saw some of it, but maybe that banter that I liked took away from it. But I just think he could have done it with a little bit more gravitas, or a little bit more determination, or this is my goal, and everything else can be going on, but I didn't see that this is my goal. Favor. He just said it a lot more than I picked up on watching.
It should have been pushed till he had absolutely no choice, and it went too fast. They were just standing there, and it's like, and then you shoot him. Well, do something else first. Attempt something else first.
I think what would have helped is Clara in the diner saying, being more surprised. It's like, well, you must really like Clara. You shot a guy. It's like, no, go a bit more shocked or a bit more disgusted and trying to get to him that way. It's like, what have you turned into feeling?
Well, there needed to be a repercussion discussion.
Yes. Oh, repercussion discussion.
Well, and that's what, you guys mentioned also at the beginning, is there's no stakes. Like, so he shoots him, there's no repercussions. So he saves Clara, now there's no repercussions. He does this and there's no repercussions, So it's hard to stay engaged and root for characters when you don't feel like they're in any danger, either physically, emotionally, or spiritually with the Doctor.
Maybe, I guess, since there's no repercussions, she does go back to that spot and die, but so nothing she does really matters to the great scheme of things, because she's not going to interact or save anybody else or do anything that's going to make any difference by staying there and being part of something.
Well, that's when we get our spin-off Doctor Who Wiggle Room with Clara and me going around the universe in their diner.
Ugh, don't remind me.
Horrifying thought.
As the Doctor and Clara land at the end of the universe, the Doctor exits the TARDIS and encounters me, the last living immortal. They discuss who the hybrid is. Is it a Dalek/Time Lord? Is it me? Or a half Gallifreyan, half human? He theorizes that the hybrid is a passionate Time Lord and a human very similar to him. They will push each other to extremes, even risking all of time and space. The Doctor realizes the truth and says he will use the neural block from the extraction chamber to wipe Clara's memories of him, allowing her to live a safe life on Earth. Clara is really upset with this idea. They agree to both using the block, which will erase one of their memories, a 50-50 chance. The Doctor loses his memories of Clara. Back at the diner, the Doctor tells Clara that he traveled with someone whose name was Clara, but the rest is nothing. Clara leaves through a door and enters the new TARDIS, where me is working at the console. The diner disappears around the Doctor, who sees his TARDIS. He flies off in his TARDIS, while Clara and me fly off in theirs.
I almost didn't write that last part because I didn't want to mention Clara and me's flying off.
This is just one of those moments I'm like, this is not good. I didn't like it back then. I tried to like it now. I just hate that idea.
At what point do you begin to hate it?
I think the fact that we have Clara, who throughout the season and her run has become more and more Doctor-like, but I don't feel like she earned that. So I don't like the fact that Moffat is leaving it open-ended to come back to a character that we have said goodbye to twice or multiple times. We said goodbye to her in the Christmas special with Last Christmas, where she was aged. And then we said goodbye to her, Face the Raven. And then we're saying sort of goodbye to her, but not really, with her flying off in the diner with me, a shielder. And I don't think me slash a shielder is a strong enough character that I want to see more adventures with her and Clara, because I want to see more adventures with the Pop Naster gang. I don't want to see adventures with a
Right.
diner flying through
Yeah.
space. I'm like, you did it well with those tertiary characters. You didn't do it well with these two characters. And to give them more of a send off than we did with the Pop Naster gang feels misplaced and wrong.
I will agree with that very much.
Agreed.
For me, it's when because I do enjoy the scene between me and the doctor in the cloister. I think the actress Maisie Williams,
Mm-hmm.
I think she does a really, really good job in that scene.
Yeah.
Because didn't really like her in The Woman Who Lived. Didn't think she had the range to do that. But in this scene, she, for me, pretty much nailed it. When she's saying, Clara's death was sad, but it was also beautiful. When she's kind of, well, could it be this? Could it be that? Could it be this? For me, it loses it when they walk back into the TARDIS and they have the whole discussion of using the memory thing. Because I just thought the memory thing was such a weak, and what's the word? I don't think it's MacGuffin.
Well, it's also been done better in previous episodes.
Much better. Much, much better.
Like with Donna, it was done better, and the logic for why he had to do it works.
Yeah.
This one doesn't.
And they had to invent a reason. They had to invent a method so that it could be a 50-50 chance, because why couldn't he just do what he did to Donna?
Right. That's what I thought.
Because, he's like, well, the neural thing works better. It's like, yeah, but you don't need it to work better for Clara. She doesn't, you're just having her forget her memories so that, she can lead a normal life. Donna, you had to wipe her memories because she would die. Clara's not in any physical danger by her memory. It's literally just, ooh, if we both remember, this is going to be bad for the universe. So it's like, use the psychic thing. You invent this little device. It was just so weak. It was
also,
just very, very weak.
With Donna's example, they were showing you the pain it was causing Donna to have all of that stuff in her brain that a Time Lord has. So it was important to save her by removing the Time Lord aspects in her mind so that she could live.
Yeah.
With this, Clara's not in any physical danger, like you said, or any mental danger.
Except dying.
But is she really the way they've logicked this? But then back to the point of like the universe doing this for the good of the universe, we're not seeing time rips, we're not seeing time ripples destroying worlds, we're not seeing any of that.
Yeah. I mean, if this was the big bad, the big ending to the season, like it would have been interesting to, instead of the hybrid being the thing, seeing like time rips or seeing like repercussions of this event before. But yeah, it is weak. And then it also, like the entire episode is the doctor telling his story of saving Clara to Clara that he doesn't remember. So it's hard because we are watching the actor play Clara both in his memories, if that's what this episode is, him remembering that part of it and telling the story to Clara in the dining in the restaurant. But we have to say, oh, but he doesn't recognize her here, even though he's remembering this whole story and telling her. So yeah, it's hard to follow along. Like it's hard to accept that because of the dissonance. Like we can suspend our disbelief on some things, but this is like, no, you're showing us the doctor is talking to her, telling ostensibly Clara in the restaurant this story, and isn't able to make like that connection.
Yeah, because when you suspend your disbelief on like one or two things, it's okay. But if we're asked to do it every time an instance is brought up, it becomes a little much.
Yeah.
Frank, you had a good explanation of that last night. Remember when I was saying, how can he be telling a story about Clara de Clara? Because his memory's gone.
Oh, right. Okay, that's what I thought. I wasn't sure where you were going. Like, that's a little bit different. I thought it was the reason they wanted to bring the device in. One, so Clara can do something about it. He wanted to keep Clara. And I don't know what she did to the device or if it was the device itself. When the doctor erased memories, he erased all memories connected with him. When this device erased memories, it only erased memories of that person. The doctor remembers traveling with someone named Clara, doesn't know anything about her, cannot recognize her, doesn't know the voice, height, anything. That's what was taken out. But he remembers doing all the other things. And Donna doesn't remember any of that. She doesn't know anything about space or what a Dalek is.
And the doctor does literally mention a mummy on the Orient Express.
The submarine.
And the Iceman on the submarine. It's like he hasn't lost the 3 years he spent with Clara. He's just forgotten Clara. So he remembers all his adventures with this woman named Clara, but he can't remember Clara.
Which then disassociates his emotionalness with her. He doesn't remember her or the feelings that came with it. So,
do you think that is a reaction to fans who, like, I remember at this point feeling, during when it was actually airing, feeling over Clara, and I know they probably can't move that quickly, but it's like, if the doctor, like we're saying, it severed the emotional memories of Clara over the doctor's time with her. Like, he remembers the adventures, the facts of things that happen, but not that emotional connection. Like, again, it just makes the whole, like, Clara's whole story feel even more pointless because, like, the doctor is going to go forward and it's not going to matter to him emotionally.
I mean, he's still looking for her, so there's still some emotion, but it's not. It is.
Yeah.
Everything that Clara, how many times she saved the doctor, just remember that part of it.
I still feel like that moment should have been her end. It was the best way to end.
Yeah.
But I think what they're trying to show in this is that the doctor sees her as an equal. It's a 50-50 chance.
It's weird.
I mean, it's all, left ambiguous, which sometimes is really good because then we can talk about it and take our own ideas of what it is.
I don't think it's fun in this case because we have to do a lot of mental gymnastics.
Yeah.
Because I get what you're saying, Frank. Like, they are equals at this point. But I never wanted her to be an equal, and I never felt her as an equal. I've only been told she's an equal, and I think that's the problem.
But that's what Moffat has been trying to do this whole time.
Yeah, it didn't work.
Which, again, agree, I don't really like that, but if that's the way this is going, I just accept it. It's like, this is the story, not the one I wanted, not the one I would have told. But
I can accept it.
Yeah.
Do I like it? No.
No.
And it seemed like it was, hey, both of you, act. instead of make the words fit with the story.
Right. That's okay. That's good. I like that.
And then we get the answer to a question I don't think I cared for anyway, that the reason that the child doctor, the young doctor, was crying in the barn was because he snuck into the cloisters and saw the wraiths, and they told him about the hybrid. I'm like, I did not need that answered.
Oh, I didn't put those two incidents together.
That's how I took it. I can't remember. I think it was Ophelia saying that to him.
Yeah. But I never thought of it until you just said it.
Okay.
Because I always figure in the barn it's because kids teased him.
That's what you think when you hear it, what happened in Listen, with a conversation with the two caretakers. In an episode full of like Easter eggs and callbacks. That's why I picked up on that, because I'm like, oh, you're doing this.
Right. And later on, the talk between the doctor and her about taking her memory reminded me of River in the library about, no, you don't take my memories from me. I will not change even a second of it if I die now. No, you don't have the right to take that from me. So that just mirrored River in my mind. So there were some great times of writing and some that didn't.
Oh, can I say mine? Because I really liked mine.
Well, it's yours. You should.
It's like what Frank was just saying about silence in the library, but this one just hit me. Clara is telling the doctor, don't you dare erase my memory. And she says, tomorrow is not promised, but I insist on my past. I love that. I love that quote. I want it stitched on a pillow. I love that so much. And it's a perfect, like, how dare you try and take away my memories, Anyway, that's all. Guess it doesn't mean as much to anybody else.
It does. It's good. I really liked it. I just rushing it out because it's still coming up on mine.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that was yours. That's definitely no problem.
I don't know if it was meant to be a Game of Thrones reference, but me at the end of the universe says summer can't last forever. Kind of a winter's coming-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had to stretch.
No, I caught on that as well. Well, the hybrid is now revealed to be the Doctor and Clara, both pushing each other to extremes. And like the definition of a hybrid is an offspring of two animals or plants of different subspecies, breeds, or varieties, uh, blended together, like, or a person of whose background is a blend of two diverse cultures or traditions. Like, it's always two things becoming one. It's not two separate things becoming similar.
But
Yeah,
like
but it is just a
marriage,
prophecy.
but like marriage, the two become one. And they were growing so close together, and she was becoming so much of him that they were, a balance of each other. They were together. So I get that idea that the two things came together and by acted, responded, changed at that moment when they're together into something different.
I get what you're saying, and I agree that that's what was given to us, but it wasn't done well.
Okay.
Because
Yeah, no,
I don't think anybody remembers the big bad of this season being the hybrid.
Not at all.
very true.
And nobody talks about it. We talk about Vote Saxon, we talk about Bad Wolf. We never talk about the hybrid.
So were the two-parters like a foreshadow of this hybrid idea? Like we have to have two episodes together?
Oh, you're brilliant. You're brilliant.
I think
love
that's
that.
giving Moffat too much credit.
No, it's 3D chess all the way.
But it gives Auburn so much more credit because that is perfect. I love it.
One good thing that I liked about this is that we get a retro TARDIS in its stark white,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
sterile quality.
That
And,
was awesome.
and even Capaldi was like overjoyed. He's like, this is the kind of TARDIS I grew up watching, so it was great. I mean, I love my TARDIS, but this was awesome.
Don't you love the
Yeah.
color palette? It's all white.
And what happened at the end when the doctor woke up? Who is that guy, and why does he have a sedan? Because at
Instead
the
of the
beginning,
truck.
he was in a red truck driving down and then to the diner. So
It makes me think that they forgot, and that was like a pickup, or the red truck was a pickup shot, not a pickup. It
You
makes
didn't
that's
even
what-
know that one.
Yeah, but that's what makes me think that is that they shot that with Capaldi and the other actor, so that was clearly scheduled. But
Right.
then they were like, "Oh, we need an establishing shot. We can't get that sedan again." So that's what makes me think that.
And I'm just thinking that the truck and the car were a TARDIS.
Mm.
It chameleon circuited to whatever it wanted at that point.
Or whatever it
Never.
needed. Whatever it needed.
Yeah. We need a pickup truck to carry the unconscious doctor. And then when he's conscious, he hits a nice comfy sedan.
Or that guy, that touristy guy, could be a Canton Everett Delaware III's offspring. Because this is in America, and it's very much that like southwest sort of landscape.
A reference they had, which I kind of liked at the beginning, but I wish they would have changed the diner to look different. To have that be the same diner from the Impossible Astronaut means Clara and me were there because it's the same diner. Because there's no way that a new TARDIS, Clara or me, would know what that diner looked like. They couldn't extrapolate that. But this making it that same diner pisses me off. It's like you're doing it just as a joke, just to bring back more memories, same as all the villains in the cloister. But this one it was too much. Yeah, we still have the same set. Let's use it. Redress it a bit so that it reminds him of it, but it's not the same one. Because that one just gets me going, oh please. You have all this heavy duty stuff in this, the talk between him and Clara, memories and who they are and all this. And you end on this silly note of the diner.
Yeah, again, like those lines taken as a vignette, if you will. There's just that scene of them saying goodbye and how memories become stories when they're forgotten or whatever. It's good.
Yeah.
But when you stitch everything together and make a hour-long episode, I'm like, ugh.
And the memories could become a song.
Yes,
nice.
that's cool too.
That was like, so I just really did not like the diner. Did you guys?
I did not. It just feels like they took you know how when in the writer's room there's a bunch of index cards and they're like,
Yeah.
well, we're done with the season, but we have like 1 billion index cards. He's like, put it all in one episode.
Right.
I mean, Capaldi references Amy and Rory by name. It's like, I like it when doctors reference things from other doctors. It makes me happy. It's stupid to have the diner, but
And then they had the doctor seeing his TARDIS with all the painting. And neither Brian or I could remember where we saw that and who painted it. We were thinking Rigsby, but we don't remember that scene, but we kind of remember seeing it. We say,
Yeah.
it was. And then we finally found it. And that is after the credits. It was an end scene.
It's a Marvel post-credit scene.
Yeah.
Which is
the I'm forgetting the title of the episode. 2 episodes ago in
2 episodes ago. Oh, Face the Raven.
Face the Raven, right. So we just let it play because we're like, if it's not in this one, we start looking, where else could it have been? And then it showed up. I was like, there it is. I knew it was somewhere, but I had forgotten where they had shown that to us.
Well, and that's another spot where like Clara's face is on the outside of the TARDIS.
Yes.
And I know that the Doctor, all humans look alike pretty much to him, so he doesn't see. But it was another one where like, hey, that was the woman you were just talking to in the restaurant. What is she doing on your TARDIS?
Mm-hmm.
Come on. And then he could let go, just like the paint came off the TARDIS.
Yeah,
exactly.
Like, we're resetting everything. It's all new. Yeah.
Finally.
I know.
Yeah.
I do think go ahead.
I watched the next season to the end,
Mm.
and there was no more Clara. She
Yes.
doesn't come back in Flux, does she? I don't think
No.
I've seen that.
We have not seen her since.
You watched the
Okay.
whole season?
You watched the whole season? Yeah.
I've seen like
Bill?
Bill, yeah.
The whole season?
Did you go all the way to
The last episode.
I think so.
the
Which
very,
is
very last episode?
which is very similar, maybe not the Christmas special, but it's very similar to the ending of this one, where you have, right, like Bill
Like Bill goes off.
going off with another. Yeah.
There's one beyond that.
Was there?
No, that was, I think, at the end of that one.
Like,
Yes, we see her again. And so you just watched
Yeah,
it.
we do see her again,
I blocked
but
that out.
not in any bad way. Before we go, there's one thing that really bugs me about this whole thing, and it makes me angry at Moffat, and that's since 2005, the modern era, there's always been a common theme to Doctor Who, and the common theme is Doctor, don't travel alone. Look what happens when you travel alone. You go too far. You need someone to stop you. This episode is look what happens when you have a companion. Don't have a companion. Bad things happen when you have a companion. And I hate that.
I think just the wrong companion. Like he has to stay away from those what is it, codependent relationships, like with his companion.
But yes, I mean, yeah, but
The narcissistic companions, because they both were the same, so they fell in love with themselves.
true. But in just a general theme of the show, it's like, what are you trying to say now? Because the general theme of the show before was, you need to have people in your life. What's the theme of this episode? People in your life can be dangerous. I don't know. It just rubs me the wrong way.
Was it all Missy's machinations to like unravel the Doctor, like to take away that one thing that he could like lean
That
on?
would have been cool if it was, but it's not
But it's not.
kind of played out that way.
No.
Yeah, and for me, I was going not really specific. I'm just saying like an umbrella theme to the show in general. It's Doctor Who is a show that I can't think of another example right now, but it's not something specific. It's tone. It's the Doctor. It's good when the Doctor creates a found family. And the tone or the moral or the message of this episode is the exact opposite of that. And it's like, that's not what Doctor Who's about. It's not about telling the Doctor to travel alone because the people you travel with could cause the end of the universe in this manner. I'm not saying there can't be bad people who can be companions. They've had that in the classic series. They turn out to be bad people, but it's generally understood that it's a good thing when you're around other people. So...
Heaven Sent wasn't needed, and this episode might have been better had it come right after Face the Raven.
Yeah.
It's weird because in tone, it's both these episodes, Heaven Sent and Hell Bent, are dealing with grief and loss and letting go. I don't know if we needed 2 episodes with that sort of tone in both.
Right.
And also, wasn't Heaven Sent resolves his grief? There was a resolution. There was a character arc, and then you went to Hellbent, and he's all pissed off again.
It
just feels like backtreading.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like, well, which ending do we want for the season? Let's do both because they rhyme. So
it's the index cards they were put into the bucket, and
I never thought of that. Like, I think that would have been I think we may have liked this episode more rather than having that whole different feel and genre of episode that just sort of changed the whole pace of everything. Didn't continue that same story because it took you right out of that story. And you didn't know why he was there, what he was doing. He's being tortured. You think it's Time Lords, but it just wasn't explained. So that's why it was more of a capsulated, interesting story just with him.
And that one would have been more interesting if the whole hybrid thing had been interesting, because that was the point,
Right.
is like, give up the hybrid. And we're all like, what does that even mean? Who cares? Doctor, yeah, just tell him. But yeah, I think even the previously on for this episode was primarily Face the Raven, like a little bit of Heaven Sent, just the ending maybe even of Heaven Sent, like that he got out. Or
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was very quick. Heaven Sent was like, who cares? He's on Gallifrey. That's where we need to
Right.
be. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if this was aired earlier in the season, then we would know about the hybrid and we would be part of, is that the hybrid? Is that the hybrid? Putting more emphasis on it and us speculating or listening and going, okay, they're talking about this. Did they talk about it before? But putting it so far at the end, because then it's like he still has that anger that they were trying to get something about the hybrid. And it has nothing to do with Clara, but it's still part of who he is and part of his anger at them. And now that they've taken Clara, it's like that just pushed him over the edge.
Was this the first where they tied the hybrid to being a Gallifreyan prophecy? Or did they mention? I don't remember much of like the hybrid mentions before, so I don't know if they set it up.
They did
that,
in this season. They did mention something
Okay.
about the
but
prophecy and
but this might be right that you're saying that this is a prophecy tied to the Time Lords as opposed to just a fear of a hybrid in general.
yeah, I think they did. I don't remember episode names that well.
Yeah, but like something like if it was, at some point a little bit more directly tied to Gallifrey or something that we do care about more, because I think we do care about Gallifrey more than we do about the hybrid. So if they had, rode some of more of that where the Doctor is really scared, like, oh yeah, the prophecy, it might have helped us connect to it across the season.
Yeah. I think more connective tissue, if that's what you want the true end result of the season to be,
Yeah.
that was definitely needed.
Yep. Totally agree.
I also think that the concept of what we've discussed of this hybrid, meaning what the hybrid ends up being, is a little too high concept for people to, I don't know, remember, maybe is the best way, because I get it, but I don't like it and I don't remember it.
Yeah, 6 months from now, I'm not going to remember what the hybrid is.
I think someone used that device on us because they mentioned the hybrid, but I have no emotional attachment to it. It's just something that they mentioned in a different episode.
Well, speaking of devices, we also get the new sonic screwdriver after the other one was lost and he went to the sunglasses.
Oh, it wasn't lost. Davros had it. Remember, he
Yeah.
gave it. And I think the real hybrid is between a human and a character, Moffat and Clara.
I will agree with that.
There's something there that just binds them together. They're just it's like, no, that's the hybrid.
So there is a Doctor Who extra on this, but it's tied with Heaven Sent and Hell Bent because a lot of these episodes in this season have been two-parters, so there's not one individual extra for this episode. And in it, Moffat says, I don't know that I was always planning that this was going to happen, meaning where this episode and this season ended. But at a certain point, I reached a point in storytelling where you realize, well, yeah, it's going to. And then he was referring to the Doctor getting onto Gallifrey. But then in my brain, I was like, the 50th with the 11th Doctor saying, I have a new destination. My journey is the same as yours, the same as anyone's. It's taken me so many years and so many lifetimes, but at last I know where I'm going, where I've always been going, home, the long way round. That was November 2013, and Hellbent aired in December 2015. If he was going to do this, I felt like he should have been seeding it throughout these other seasons, because I was like, yes, I remember you saying that. How long ago? Too long. Way too long. And then going through the cast real quick, we mentioned Donald Sumter being the president, or Rassilon. He was in Classic Who. Ken Bones, the general. He remained with Doctor Who doing the War Doctor Big Finish audio stories, and as we mentioned, the Day of the Doctor. Tania Miller plays the female version or regeneration of the general. She was Zephyr Halima in Foundation, and Hannah Gross in The Haunting of Bly Manor, and Victorine Laforcade in The Fall of the House of Usher. Malachi Kirby plays Gastron. He's the Gallifreyan soldier in the warship that is calling the Doctor to the council with the president, and that's when the Doctor just walks away. He was a Stripe in the Black Mirror episode Men Against Fire. Then we get Maisie Williams. We've mentioned her before. Claire Higgins plays Ohelia or Ohila. We previously saw her in The Night of the Doctor as the same character, and she was also in the prologue of this season. And she was Mad Hetty in The Sandman and Julia from Hellraiser 1 and 2. Linda Broughton plays the woman in the barn that recognizes who the Doctor is when he's up there. Martin T. Sherman plays the man in the sort of touristy getup that brings that like, hey Doctor, I'm here to help you. Clara said to help you at the very end. He is the voice, or he has been voicing Thomas the Tank Engine and Percy of Thomas the Tank Engine or Thomas and Friends since 2009, and he has a very big filmography. Jamie Reed Quarrell plays the Wraith. He was Colony Sarf, so that makes sense that they used that same technology in this episode.
They couldn't get the shoes off.
No, they couldn't. So he played Colony Sarf in The Magician's Apprentice and The Witch's Familiar in the beginning of the season, and he also played the Veil in the previous episode, Heaven Sent. Nick Ash plays another Wraith, and Ross Mullen plays another Wraith. Ross was also a Silent in The Time of the Doctor, and he was the Teller in Time Heist. And they did some filming location. They went to location for filming of this episode. The outdoor scenes of Gallifrey were shot in Fuerteventura in the Canary Islands. It is on the same parallel as the Sahara Desert, so you can imagine how warm and windy and sandy it was. So Hellbent, who is this episode good for? Or more specifically, this episode is good for who? A new viewer, a casual viewer, a fan of the show, or a diehard?
I will classify this episode for fans of the show. I think Gallifrey is fun, so you don't have to be a diehard. It's the endish of Clara. So I mean, it definitely has some enjoyable things. Like we said, the story, like being a capper to this season, just feels kind of not as well done as it could have been. Like the whole season leading up to this doesn't feel like there's a big promise that got paid off here. It's kind of just like, now it's done.
I agree.
So I'd say for fans of the show.
I'm going to agree. I'm going to say fan. I'm sure a lot of people are yelling at their speakers right now because they are fans and they hate this episode. But I'm going to say fan just because you need to have the lay of the land to even remotely understand what's going on.
I'm putting it in diehard, like I do majority of the season endings, because you need to know a lot of either watching it, which a fan would do, but then this brings back other things as well. So to get those references, I mean, to get the diner is going back to a different incarnation, regeneration of the Doctor. So I'm going for Die Hard. And being off of Heaven Sent, I don't think it lived up to it because they're so different. And people see it as a pairing because of the rhyme, but it's not a two-parter to me. So it's like, it doesn't live up to it. It's a whole different story. And like we discussed in this, skip that episode, and those two might be more of a two-parter. Face the Raven and Hellbent. And then it would be more of a yes, it does live up to it. It does continue that story to try and get her back.
They have the one shot at the end of Heaven Sent, right, where he sees the confession dial. And do we see Gallifrey at the end of Heaven Sent? So like,
yeah,
he talks to the little kid and says to tell them I'm coming.
Right. It's not really story wise. It's just barely
cliffhanger.
Yeah.
And if they did show it earlier on in the season, they could have changed that ending to be something else.
My memories of this episode are the diner flying off and really hating it. And I was really trying to come into this with a more open mind. And I think I was able to enjoy things for what they were. But overall, as a whole episode and as a capper to the season, it's just not something I revisit or want to revisit. And I think a lot of the stuff a lot of the things that I don't like about this episode is that we're told things through exposition instead of shown things where, like my big one is that we want to show that the Doctor has gone too far. It was done better in Waters of Mars, where I felt the wrath of, or the arrogance of the Time Lord Victorious, where in here it just felt like he was doing everything to get Clara back instead of pushing things a little too far. I didn't get that arrogance, and I kind of wanted that. The motifs of different things with like the Western setup with just to be Westerny, and then underneath in the cloisters just to be kind of horror and fan service, they don't gel together. Like in a cohesive one episode. They should be 2 episodes. It'd be interesting to see if this season finale was 2 episodes dealing with grief, because that's what sort of was done with Heaven Sent. But they are 2 separate episodes. Like stylistically, 2 episodes. They're just different. And we've never gone back to Clara, so I don't know why Moffat left this open door for her.
Have there been Big Finish audio of Clara and me going through the universe?
No, there have not. And I thought there were, because I looked that up and I was like, oh, this would be perfect for Big Finish, but there wasn't. I'm gonna put it in. I want to put it into Die Hard, but I can see that you can enjoy it as a fan, because there's enough that if you don't get all the Easter eggs, you can still be like, okay, this is the end of the season. I just feel like there's a lot of shortcuts that are taken, and we're supposed to believe that they work, like the relationship with Danny Pink and Clara. We should have seen them go on more dates. We should have seen them in that early stage, so that by the time that we lose Danny, we feel that loss that Clara feels, instead of being told we're supposed to feel it.
And I did feel it. So, I mean, that we saw differently, but I totally get and agree that there should have been more, rather than just an 80s montage kind of thing that they did with some of the pictures and stuff.
And so I bring that up because the relationship of where Clara and the Doctor are so simpatico, that Clara is now becoming the Doctor in certain situations. I feel like they should have had more wins than losses, where they should have been high-fiving like, hey, we did that.
Yeah.
And then so there was that level of trust that Clara can go on her own and do the thing that the Doctor would do. But we didn't really get that. It was just more of like, I'm going to do things my way, but it just so happens that it works out at the end.
Right.
So that wraps up Hellbent. Thanks for listening, stay safe, and we'll see you next time when the future becomes the present.
You just listened to an episode of Who Knew?
Our wonderful theme music is by Michael Grady.
Find him on Facebook at The Universe Explodes.
Additional music is by Damiel Paggio.
Additional music by Paul Ohlers.
All our episodes are engineered by Auburn, and you can find him at auburnbinkley.com.
You can also find this show in several places.
Follow us on Twitter at Who Knew Podcast.
Subscribe, review, and listen to us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
Or on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/whoknewpodcast.
All our episodes are on whoknewpodcast.com.
Visit our Facebook page.
Please leave comments, reviews, and click like to support Who Knew Podcast.
To listen to our show on your Amazon Echo device, subscribe to us on Amazon Music,
And then ask your Amazon device to play your podcast subscriptions.
This podcast is inspired by Doctor Who,
the longest-running sci-fi show in history.
And especially the revival spearheaded by Russell T. Davis.
Thanks to Russell, Sidney Newman,
Verity Lambert, Ron Grainer,
and all those involved in the adventures of our favorite Time Lord.
Your work continues to inspire and entertain.
I'm going to go because I really have to go to the bathroom.
Please cut that out. Okay.
Oh, that's going at the end.
All right.
I really have to go.